Hi everyone, I just want to show you how to do some basic biography research. In this case, it's for a Spanish project. So usually you want to go to the LibGuide for the class that you're in. So in this case, I'm actually on the Spanish LibGuide. Notice that I actually have specified some good sources, but there are other ones on this page too. So the first one we're going to actually look at is Salem Press. And Salem Press, so let's say I'm looking up Sonia Sotomayor. Um, in this case, I would search for her and see if she's on there. So I actually find a relatively recent article on her. There also is one specific for that comes from different encyclopedia sets. So since I'm doing a Spanish project, I might actually prefer this one, which is specific for Latino research. So in this case, whichever one you're going to use, once I decide that I am going to use this source, then I always want to see with these databases if the citation is included, and it almost always is. So in this case, the citation is right over here. And depending on the class, you're probably going to be using the MLA citation. So sure enough, that's it. So in this case, I would actually use that citation. And I would, if you've been taught Noodle Tools and set that up, the best choice is for you use Noodle Tools to keep all your citations for a project together. But if you haven't been introduced to that, like put it on a Google Doc or Office 365 doc, and I will show you how to format that in a different video. So this is one. So there are other ones on here that work very similarly. So one is Gale Virtual Reference, and those are also encyclopedia sets that are in Gale. And then another one is down here, and that is Student Resources and Context. And just to show you what one of these look like, this is also really great for if you have just a lot of research and you want to kind of divide up between like magazines and you're not just looking for like an encyclopedia. So in this case, I type in her name and notice that it divides it up by exactly what it is. So if I'm here like, okay, I just need a couple pages, I would probably look for reference. Um, if I want a magazine or news, I can look at that. So the cool thing about this is, let's say I already have like some of the basics here in reference from using Salem or maybe one of the encyclopedias. I could actually look over here at the reference and see kind of where that goes on and see people in the news or something like that. Also look at biographies. That would probably be better in this case. And the same thing's going to apply because it's going to give me up here the citation for it. So same way, I'm going to keep this the way that I have. Now notice if you have Noodle Tools up, you can actually export it directly in there, which is really cool once you set up a project in it. But once again, if you don't know how to use Noodle Tools, you probably want to start that at a different time. If you do, go ahead and set up a project for it, and it's going to make your life super easy. But also cool about Gale reference in this case is that you do have these news and magazines. So the great thing here is about this is that notice is like by relevance, but let's say I want to find out, hey, what's Sonia Sotomayor doing? What has she been voting on? And so I can kind of see here like different things because she's on the Supreme Court. And so like what are the different things that she's been ruling on? And or whatever is the latest news. And so I did that by switching it to newest. But I could also go back to relevance, and that's going to pull up like kind of like similar, but like things that have really stood out, in during all her time in as a newsmaker. All right, so the last one is, let's say you have someone and they are not in Gale, they are not in they're not on Salem Press. Like, what do you do? So over here on the LibGuide is something I really, really want to recommend to you. And I have this recommendation right here. But if you're looking for a person, they're not like on a database or something, I recommend you use Google News. So what Google News does is it actually takes like real like stuff from newspapers, and that is what's featured. And what that does is um, it really kind of takes out a lot of the junk. There's a lot of junk in there. So I can see here as I put this in, there's like a great article on what she told a 10-year-old girl. There's some more articles about some of her rulings. But I see that she's been talking against police abuses. Now, the thing is about this is that you do have to create the citation for that. So remember, the usual format is author is there, if there is one, title of the article in quotation marks, the website italicized, the date of publication, and the URL is in general the four things that you have. But like use Noodle Tools or something like that. Don't use EasyBib. EasyBib's terrible to create those citations. In a different video, I'm going to show you how to actually like check your works consulted page for formatting. Now, on these projects, a lot of people ask me about just a general Google search. So I'm just going to do a general Google search for her. And you see that she comes up here. And, with Wikipedia, the links at the bottom of Wikipedia are fine. Don't use Wikipedia itself. But in general, you always have to be a little careful about this, especially if you're doing like a rock star or something like that, because like IMDb will come up, and that is like the Wikipedia of like movie stars and stuff. So they're actually on here. There's actually a lot of pretty good sources here. Biography.com, that's a really great one. Feel free to use that one. There's going to be a lot of people who are on that. This one also has something from the Obama White House. I see that .gov, so I'm going to take that a little bit more seriously. I see a CNN article about that. I see something from Scholastic. So if you have a question, just like don't be afraid to ask. All right, that's it. I'll let you go and email Miss Smithfield any questions.